you, fabulous person. Hopefully you are off to an awesome and amazing day. Today, I am super excited. We are going to be discussing what does it look like to form an to form an S Corp. But before we do that, I want to give you guys this little note to let you know that we are not taking a deep dive. We are going to approach this from a high level today. And over the course of the week or the next couple of weeks, I will be giving you guys educational or tutorial lessons on how to fill out Form 2553, how to complete some of the other payroll requirements that are required of an S corporation, and so much more. All right, so for those of you who do not know me and you are chiming into my channel for the very first time, I am Dr. Cozette M, America's #1 tax and accounting strategist. I help tax professionals grow highly profitable firms using social media as a way to gain organic clients. And of course, I work with my awesome CEOs who are service-based individuals looking to gain some clarity around the financial health of their organization, looking at their key performance indicators, looking at cost analysis reports, looking at where they may be leaving money on the table, and so much more. All right, so let's dive into what does it look like to form an S corporation. We're gonna go first of all to the state side of things, because an S corporation is a formation simply for tax purposes. You are electing that so that on your tax return, when you file Form 1120S as an S corporation, you are taking advantage of some of the benefits that are available to you as a business owner. Now, remember, I share with every single business owner that an S corporation is merely a limited liability, and it's a corporation that has elected to do business as an S Corp. When you decide that you want to take advantage of this election, your net revenue, your net profits should be in excess of $75,000 or more. If you have not reached that threshold just yet, you may want to look at other options such as remaining as a limited liability corporation. One of the major benefits when reviewing why you should become an S corporation is looking at some of the tax savings. As an S corporation, you are required to pay yourself a portion of the proceeds that the organization makes. Okay, so that means either you're going to put yourself on payroll, or either you are going to continue to pay yourself, but you need to be paying federal and state withholding taxes. Okay, so let's think about an S Corp. How do you form an S Corp? Well, initially you have to start on the state side. You have to register your organization with the state in which you reside in or the state in which you intend to do business in. Now remember, we do have some organizations who may reside in Maryland, but they may have decided that they want to set their organization up as a Nevada corporation. Maybe they think they're going to save on taxes. Maybe they want to set their business up in another state where they are primarily doing business. So the very first thing we want to do is set our organization up and file for a corporation on the state level. Once we have filed on a state level, and our intent is to eventually set ourselves up or elect our business as an S corporation, we want to ensure that we do all of the necessary steps. That means we have to do payroll. So we want to register with all of the regulatory agencies for payroll. I'm in California, so that would be EDD. In some of the other states, it would be your Department of Revenue. Okay, so you want to ensure that you are registering so that you have the appropriate numbers to remit to pay your payroll. Okay, so if we've set up the organization on the state level, we've thought about whether or not we are going to elect to do this as an S Corp, in which we are. And so we will be sending in our Form 2553 to the Internal Revenue Service to elect, for tax purposes, to be registered as an S Corp. Once you send that form 2553, which once again, we are not going into detail today how to do a form 2553. Just know that form 2553 takes at least 90 days to be approved. But we know that that is the strategy. We know that that is ultimately our goal, what we want to do. So when we set up that corporation or that LLC on the state level, we then want to also send in our paperwork to the Internal Revenue Service form 2553 to elect to be an S Corp. Once we have that election back, then we need to ensure that we are doing all the proper things, such as making sure that we set up payroll so that we are paying ourselves. As an owner of an S corporation, you are required to pay payroll. My advice to you is to ensure that you guys can do it yourselves. You can definitely process your own payroll, or it's best to outsource that to a third-party administrator, because there's payroll taxes that need to be remitted after each payroll to the state as well as the federal level. If you reside in a state that pays state taxes, there's quarterly reports that are due, 940s. There's annual reports, 941s that are due. And yes, you as the business owner can do your 940 and your 941s, but why not set this service up with a third-party administrator? It's going to take them a matter of no time to remit these forms, especially after each and every payroll. You have to set yourself up on EFTPS so that you can transmit and make these payments. You have to make sure that you're set up with the state Department of Revenues so that you can transmit and submit these payments. This is time consuming. So why not set this up, your payroll that is, with a third party administrator who can administer this payroll for you, pretty much set you up on auto run, pretty much set you up so that the reports are generated automatically after every single payroll. Okay, so you want to think about, like I said, this was a high level training. I will drop other trainings along the way this week and over the next couple of weeks as to how do you go in and set up your organization on the state level. Very simple. How do you set yourself up on payroll? There's payroll providers that you all can use. You want to stay with those that are more feasible for your organization. For the most part, it's probably just you on the payroll as you begin, unless you have employees. So my recommendation is to use something like QuickBooks. QuickBooks is simple, easy. There's other third-party administrators out there as well. Now, I'm going to say to all of you, because I've been there, done that, and through my corporate experience, I know the fees with Paychex and ADP are out of the roof. So we're looking for a service provider that can provide you with the solutions that you need to process your payroll, to remit all of the taxes that are due every single payroll, every single quarter, and annually. And we want to look for a payroll provider where the fees are affordable. So my recommendation is go with QuickBooks. There's others out there. You can do it yourself, but I guarantee you, if you decide to do it yourself, you will be reaching out to your accountant, your CPA saying, I got this notice. I don't know what it's for, but I think I owe payroll taxes. You definitely don't want to get yourself in a situation where you have back payroll taxes or you owe, on the state level or the Internal Revenue Service, because it's just not fun, okay? They can put a lien on you and so much more. So we're gonna start at the state level. We're going to apply to become a limited liability, or we can also apply to become a corporation. Once we have that status and we know that we are going to want to operate our organization as an S Corp for tax purposes, An S Corp is not an entity, you all. Just keep that in mind. A S Corp is not an entity. A limited liability or corporation, C Corp, is an entity. But an S Corp is strictly for tax purposes only. All right, so start at the state level. Make sure you have your EIN. Make sure you register with all of the state agencies for payroll purposes so that you have the applicable number, so that when it comes time to set yourself up for payroll, you are already registered with the Department of Revenue. Because when you submit that very first payroll, they need these numbers. If they don't have these numbers and payroll is submitted, guess what's going to happen? They're going to come back to you and say, you owe us because you didn't submit the appropriate payroll taxes to the state or the IRS at the time that payroll was ran. So you want to have everything set up, lined up, a checklist that you're going to, check off as you do these things. And listen, y'all, if you're not a tax person, if you're not an accountant, don't try to do it yourself to save yourself some money. I realize that every business owner, as they are starting out, they are trying to count their cents, count their dollars, count the change, count the money. But sometimes we must reach up and reach out and hire a professional to do some of these things. Okay, if you go to someone such as LegalZoom, I guarantee you they are just going to set up the corporation. They're not going to set up the limited liability, the S Corporation, complete Form 2553. They're not going to set up the payroll side of things. They are only going to set those things up if you specifically request. Okay, so seek a professional that can set up the limited liability, the S Corporation, from start to finish. That is setting up the organization with your state, making sure that your payroll is properly set up, making sure that you have all of the applicable registration identification numbers in place before you run that payroll. And last but not least, the critical part, if you plan to become or form an S Corp, is to complete Form 2553. Form 2553 is relatively simple. Again, I am going to host another webinar or another YouTube or another Zoom session where I'm going to walk through what does it look like to complete Form 2553. Okay. If you are a business owner and you are looking to convert from a limited liability corporation over to an S Corp, I encourage you to click on the link below so that we can connect. There's a form you can fill out that will address some of the questions that we need to have addressed before you get on the call with me. All right. If you have sent in your paperwork to the Internal Revenue Service and you have yet to receive an approval from the Internal Revenue Service for Form 2553, click on the link below to schedule a consultation with me, and I'll see what we can do to get you through this. But in the meantime, watch out for my other educational trainings on how to form an S Corporation. I'm going to take a deep dive on the payroll side, and I'm going to take a deep dive on Form 2553, how to complete it, how to get it sent out so that you get that letter back saying that you have been approved. I will also do an in-depth overview on establishing your corporation or your limited liability corporation. All right. In the meantime, I need for you guys to make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button, click on the bell so that you get notified each and every time that I go live or each and every time that we upload a video. All right. You guys have yourselves an awesome and amazing day. Follow me out there on social media at Cozette M. White. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.